Hey guys, welcome to the 25th episode of Let's Talk With The Podcast. This is Chancellor D. Today I'm joined with Pride Stark. How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful. Today we talked about League of Legends, Riot. I'll let you go a little bit into depth of that, of what we discussed.
Today we'll definitely talk about how esports is growing in the university scene around North America. I think it'll be pretty fun.
Awesome. We talk about this more, growing up, in high school, nerd versus being a geek then and now. So there's this and more, and hope y'all enjoy the show. Later, guys. Welcome to the Let's Talk With Me podcast. What exactly is the whole esports league tournament style gaming like?
Well, it's actually really interesting. There's the NCAA has helped set up the collegiate for League of Legends. So the tournament style is very similar to basketball or football when it comes down to it. It's just like any other sport because that's really what it is. So you have a lot of universities around the U.S. have their own little sports clubs or whatever, and League of Legends just happens to be one of the sports in them. There's a couple universities that are making it a varsity sport. Like I said, hopefully I'm going to be at the head of one of those very soon. And they really it's really hard to explain other than to think of it as just any other sport. You have the season, and then you have like the playoffs, quote unquote, and then you have the championship at the end.
So I'm thinking, I take it like during like a collegiate style of gaming, like it would take place like during the entire school year, like they'll have tournaments throughout the year.
Yeah, you have games and tournaments throughout the year, and at the end, it's all separated out into division. I believe there are different divisions throughout the country, whether you're the Northwest or the Southwest or the East Coast, which is like the North, South, and then like the middle of the country. Okay. You can actually see all of it at lulesports.com, which is very interesting because Riot itself is part of, like, they're the ones who made League of Legends. They really are the ones who set it up, and the ending result is that the teams that do well, the kids on the teams win scholarship money, and Riot puts up most of the money. Like a lot of different people put up money, but Riot also pays for, if you do really well and you're going to go to the finals, they host the finals live, and Riot pays for the teams to fly out and stuff like that.
Okay. So what exactly is your involvement with things? Like, how did you get into the whole esports scene?
Esports has been a huge part of my life for a very, very long time. I wouldn't even have called it an esport back then, but I grew up near Baltimore in Maryland, and the high school I went to had there was a giant rift between a lot of the kids because I don't know what kind of high school you went to or anything like that, but there were very segregated groups of children in my high school, but I was always one of those people that kind of like floated in between all the groups. Mm-hmm. And I never really liked that, some of my friends didn't like the other of my friends, and I actually really hated that I could only hang out with, a portion of my friends at a time, because the other, parts of my friends were like, oh, we don't hang out with that group because they're skateboarders, or oh, we don't hang out with that group because they play chess. And I'm like, what is this? This is crazy. But the one thing I realized at one point was when Super Smash Brothers came out for the N64, everybody was excited. Like, all of my friends were excited for this game. And I was like, So we actually made a video game club in my high school. And it was really funny because I watched like all of my friends come together for the very first time, like ever. And then we actually had like little mini tournaments, and that evolved into like, parents and stuff helping us set up like larger tournaments like outside of school and stuff like that. And it was actually really interesting. So that's kind of how like esports became a part of my life in the beginning. But then as it went, I played World of Warcraft and StarCraft and other games like that. But it was I really started to get big into the scene, and I would call myself a semi-professional to a professional, depending on how successful you want to, say I was with the whole streaming and being part of the esports thing. And then when League of Legends came to be, it kind of wiped all the other games I was playing out of the whole thing. Like I literally quit every other game I was playing and played League of Legends because I saw the potential in it, and I saw that it was everything I ever wanted in a game. I didn't have to do anything else. I could just go straight into the competitive part of the game. And I did very well. And I helped coach a lot of kids after I did well. I used to have a stream where I would just teach people how to play different positions. I connected with the game on a very base level. And I really loved it. And now the only other game other than League of Legends that I play is Hearthstone, and that's another esport. So that's actually like the newest esport that's up and coming. I play Super Smash Brothers still from time to time, but I'm nowhere near as good as a couple of my friends are.
Yeah, we'll talk about Smash Brothers later.
Yeah.
But like, what do you think sets you apart from other League of Legends players?
Well, I actually think that what sets me apart from a lot of other players in general of any game is I've always looked at every game that I sat down to play as like a sport. Like, no matter what game I was playing, I always looked at it from a professional standpoint, is what I like to call it. So like, there are people who will sit down and play games and just be happy with being, fairly good at the game. But every time I sit down to play a game or to play League of Legends, I say to myself, all right, what am I going to work on today? What skill am I going to grow today? How am I going to get better by the end of this experience? So, like, I'll sit down and I'll have, like, an entire goal in mind. Like, maybe I just want to get better with one character today. Or maybe I want to, win 3 games today, but I want to, do this during those 3 wins. And then I'll stop playing ranked after I achieve my goal. Or I'll set, like, I have a giant set of rules for how I play video, or for how I play games, because I want to make sure that I'm growing as a player every single time. And it actually really helps my coaching style, because that's one of the reasons I coach people very well in general, is because I've always looked at every game that way ever since I was very much younger.
Okay. Well, let's take a step back. Can you for people who don't know, can you tell them like what exactly is League of Legends and Riot, so everybody can be on the same page?
Riot is the company that makes League of Legends. They're the ones who created it. It's actually their only video game, and the way they built it was as a sport. So when you look at a company that only has one video game as a video game company, normally you're like, what? But they basically created the new football or the new soccer. League of Legends is the largest played game in the world. A fun statistic is there are more people currently right now playing League of Legends than there are people that own a computer. And the flip side of that is because in places there are a lot of people that go to net cafes because they don't own computers at home. But generally, it's the largest played game in the world. It's the largest watched sport in the world. Whenever they have a big tournament, there are more people watching that tournament than the previous Olympics. It's basically what happens is there are 2 sides to the game. There are 5 people on each team. And basically your entire objective is to work with your team to destroy the opponent's base. They have what's called a nexus, but you could call it a castle, whatever you want. And there are towers that stop you from getting to the castle, so you break the towers down and you fight the enemy team, and when you destroy their castle, you win, and then the game is over. It's a very simple concept to a game. I would like to think of it as poker or chess on the same level of it's a very simple concept to a game, but there's a lot of nuances in being a master at it.
Okay. So you mentioned that you coach people. So how do you go from taking somebody as like a novice and get them to like being a pro?
Well, that would be it's really interesting actually. A lot of people think that it's all about time, but the game actually sort of has the beginning steps built in for you. There's a tutorial, and you level your account itself up from 1 to 30. So before you can even jump into what's called ranked play, where you would be, playing to see how good you are compared to the rest of the community, you have to, go through the beginning steps. So my advice and the way I really like to help people that are just getting into the game is I tell them, what I want you to do is to go through the tutorial. And if you have any questions after that, ask me, and we'll talk about those. And then basically I tell them to get to level 10. Level 10 takes about, say you played for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. You'd hit level 10 in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And by the time you get to level 10, you'll have basic mechanics of the game down because it does take some time to get used to compared to other video games and to other games. So once you get those down, then I can really sit down and we can discuss what kind of player are you, because there are 5 different positions in the game. And generally, when you're first starting out, you should really get a feel for all of them. And I kind of discuss and talk about the different styles of play and stuff like that, and really get a feel for the person and see what they would like to do. And I tend to watch them play games from time to time, and I'll play a couple games with them. You can queue up with friends and stuff like that and play with them. And I get a feel for how they play, and after that, I think that I am able to help nurture their own personal play style. And it really does well. I really love helping beginners in this game because it's a wonderful game. I mean, and it can teach so much. It's the same idea as when you're a little kid and your parents take you out or your dad takes you out and says let's throw the ball around. It's the same idea. It's a great experience for to have with people.
Okay. So the whole tournament scene, I am familiar with the fact that there is the big gathering. People, they'll follow the game wherever it's being played. So for people who look at this and say people are sitting down playing games and people travel, this makes no sense to me. What would you say to them to kind of get them on board?
Well, I mean, let's put it this way: there are a lot of super fans we're in America, so yeah. How often do you see people following their favorite football team around?
Every week.
I mean, come on. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, at one point during one of my years, I definitely was going to a lot of Redskins games. I mean, that's when I lived in Maryland because a lot of my friends had season tickets, and I'd happily go along with them. But I knew a lot of my roommates used to have season tickets to Redskins game. They buy them years and years in advance, or stand in line for 6 days to get these tickets to go see their favorite team. And I mean, my question to them is, why wouldn't you just stay at home and watch it on the screen? There's a different excitement about being there,
Yeah.
And I guess part of it you can say, oh, but you're gonna fly out somewhere. You're gonna fly to Los Angeles and you're gonna sit in a giant crowd and watch a giant TV screen. But there's just more there. There's more to it. There's more of an experience, and it's wonderful. I would say that if you enjoy sports on any level, this is a game that would get you so hyped and so excited just to be there and feel the excitement with everybody else. Because just like any other sport, there are people that paint their faces for their favorite team. There are people that have jerseys of their favorite players, and it's crazy how exciting it gets. It's actually so big and so exciting that this year's World Championship, excuse me, this year's championship for the North America is going to be at Madison Square Gardens.
Wow.
Last year it was in LA, and it's sold out. Like every time they have a venue, it sells out. Last year's World Championship was in Seoul, South Korea, and tickets sold out within the first 5 minutes, and every seat was full, and they had like over 3 million people sitting in one spot.
Nice.
From all over the world. Like, how often can you say, oh yeah, there's a sport, and their championship was in South Korea, and they had people from over 90 different countries show up to watch it?
That doesn't happen every day.
Exactly.
And like I know that, like from what you told me before, that it's going to be an Olympic sport in 2020.
Yes, the committee has already said that it's considered a Division II Olympic sport, and they're really pulling for it to be one of the Division II sports that is going to be debuted in 2020. It's kind of a side spoken about thing. Nobody really, it's not official, but it's an official Division II sport, so it's on at least the same level as tennis.
Okay.
Or any of the other Division II sports like wrestling and stuff like that. So it's not, in the Olympics' eyes, the same as basketball yet, but generally every new sport, think of snowboarding. Snowboarding started as a Division II, a joke in everybody's eyes, and now it's one of the main events watched every Winter Olympics.
So it really is. It's going to kind of come down to like how people tune into it and like the positive feedback and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. And if League of Legends has proved anything, it's that they have a larger viewer base than anything else to happen on Earth. So okay. I'm very very positive that it'll be an Olympic sport.
And then jumping back to like the collegiate scene, you can tell us how do those tournaments kind of go along with like the school year schedule and stuff like that.
Well, it's very interesting. What'd you say?
Like on the college side, like you said, they have tournaments throughout the school year. So kind of like how does that kind of flow along with?
They start the collegiate officially begins in January, so right after everybody gets back from winter break.
Okay.
And then you go through just like any other season you would. We'll compare it to soccer, where because it's a spring sport. So you go through the spring and you play games. You have different things, and it builds up, and there's brackets and stuff like that. And then at the end, the teams that do the best go into the playoffs or whatever. And just, I don't know how to stress more. It's just like every other sport.
I got you. Yeah,
and then it ends around the same time as the school year, I believe.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was like from like August until May or January to May. So I was just curious.
I believe it's like January till it just ended.
Okay.
It just ended, so I believe it's from January to like the end of May. The end of May is when they have the championship.
Yeah.
And then they have the summer off basically, and then you get back in the very beginning of the school year. You get back to start practicing.
Okay. Now, in terms of like enrollment wise, like how does that kind of like go in favor for universities?
Well, there's not a lot of numbers to look at, but the universities that have made a big deal out of this, RMU is one of them, has they've definitely seen out-of-state tuition go up and they've seen a lot of advertising for them as well, because if you think about it, League of Legends is one of the largest news sources in the world because it's the most watched game in the world currently. So anything that happens that's big in League of Legends gets talked about all over the place, and millions of people see it every day. So the schools that or the colleges that have picked it up, they have seen they've more than likely seen a lot more a lot of boost in their tuition and people that want to go to their school, because it's the same idea as, you know, if you want to be really amazing at basketball, why wouldn't you want to go to Duke?
Yes. Very true.
So, and you know, a couple of these universities, and hopefully the university that I'll be working with, where they offer scholarships, you know, partial scholarships to students that are on their team, their varsity team, and that's a big thing. I mean, it's the first video game sport to be, or esport, to have that with, and I really love that that's broken that barrier down.
Yeah, because I think that would maybe help students that like they maybe don't talk about the fact that, hey, in my dorm I played this, or I played Smash Brothers or
Yeah,
whatever. Like they can come and say, hey, yeah, I play this, and oh look, I'm on a team, and like, you know, it may have to be kind of win their parents over and whoever, but you know, it's like, hey, I'm doing something.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's weird with our generation that like it was kind of like this, not taboo, but like not talked about thing, that there were gamers, or like you liked playing video games as a kid. Because I wouldn't have considered myself a nerd by our generation standards. I was on every sports team I can possibly think of, and I didn't do obsessively well in school. I did very well, in my opinion, but you know, I wasn't a 4.0 like brainiac either. And a lot of kids, you know, back when I went and took high school and stuff, were looked down on for that, and I never knew why. I always thought that it was pretty awesome when somebody, you know, could win an argument based off their intelligence. But at the same time, like, I also never understood why half of my friends that were jocks didn't want to talk about themselves going home at night and playing, you know, a computer game or playing, you know, video games. Like, I always thought it was really weird. Like a lot of my jock friends like didn't want people to know at school that they owned a PlayStation and played, you know, Final Fantasy. And I was like, and it slowly changed where console gaming was like accepted, quote unquote. But like, it was very interesting. It's very interesting to see how it all kind of merged.
I agree, because like I do remember those days of like, you know, maybe not telling people like, hey, I play Nintendo or whatever, or I'm into like, let's say, anime or whatever. Like my afternoons kind of consisted of going home and watching Toonami, but I wouldn't talk about it because people were kind of weird about those things back then.
Yeah, that's another one that's like very interesting. Like, I can honestly say that 99% of the people I knew in high school all watched Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
But not one of them would talk to another person about it. And I was like, what is this? This is the silliest thing ever.
Yeah, I guess it kind of comes with like a little, like a weird stigma of things of like, okay, I don't want to be labeled as that nerd or geek or whatever, because there's that stereotype of like 80s movies that the nerds are always shoved in the lockers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
that actually happened at my high school. It's very interesting.
Oh, wow. I guess some things are true. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My high school was very, like I said, it was a very segregated place when it came to like what group you were with, and all the groups kind of hated each other until like out of nowhere, like they all came to like accept one another. It was very weird. It was like this weird, like my junior year, it was just so weird how like everything changed over the summer. It was like we came back and somehow like everybody was friends, and I was like, well, what just happened? But you know, my freshman and sophomore year, like I said, I was a floater, and none of my friends would hang out with my other friends, so it's very interesting.
I think it comes with being a little, you know, you mature over a certain period of time. Like, okay, enough of this petty crap, you know.
Yeah, probably.
Because I do remember that, like leaving high school and going to college, and like some people who weren't really like, friendly to me in high school, they were friendly to me in college. I'm like, what happened to you?
Yeah, like what? But you just grew up over the summer there,
yeah,
Bobby.
It makes sense. So you know, and it kind of takes me to like another part, like, you know, say for kids, they're growing up now, this generation where gaming and being into like the nerd culture or geek culture is more accepted now, like do you think they have like a better chance of like influencing the future of like businesses or let's just say universities or let's say sports overall, like making that change that maybe we couldn't make? It's a little easier for them.
Yeah, I really do. Like, I really believe that this generation is going to be a real interesting one to watch develop. Just basically on the exact fact you said. I mean, I know my fiance's youngest sister is 9 years younger than her, so the difference in the way she did high school and stuff like that, and like the differences that we could see in her high school career compared to like how our high school was so different. And, like even just the last year, I was like, wow, like it's really weird how accepting all of those kids are of like different people or like the differences in people compared to like when we went to high school where it was like no. And so I mean that based on the fact that like everybody plays video games, like I mean, come on, everybody plays some form of a video game, even like people that are just chilling playing Candy Crush on their phone or whatever the new thing is. I don't really know what the new version of your phone game is, but Candy Crush was the last big one I heard of other than Flappy Birds for like 12 minutes. Yeah. But like everybody is playing some video game. You've got games that are accessible to like your phone. Like I said, like we didn't get to walk around with phones when we were growing up like that. So the fact that it's just so ingrained in the culture, it's a wonder that it hasn't already developed into where we're at. It's really nice that I'm old enough to see it all happen. I'm really enjoying that, but appreciate the fact that I don't know if you remember, but I remember a dial-up connection and trying to play a game off dial-up, and that was just oh my gosh, dial-up. Please nobody pick up the phone.
Yeah, dial-up. I don't want to talk about that. but yeah, you're right. I mean, and I do remember those days, like trying to play was it like Yahoo Pool or whatever?
Yeah.
Like those days were fun. Like I remember going to school and doing stuff like that, and like before class or computer class or whatever, we're sitting there playing pool against each other or bowling and
there was a mini golf game where it was like Lifesavers mini golf. I used to love that game.
Oh, I think I remember that. But yeah, doing stuff like that from home on dial-up is like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, and then phone rings or like,
yep, and the phone rings and it's just like, oh well, there goes that.
It's like, oops, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh well. But I mean, shoot, I know some places they still have dial-up in some areas, but man,
yeah, there are a couple of areas, but
now we're all getting like the Google Fiber, AT&T
Fiber. Yeah, Google Fiber or AT&T, the G or whatever it's called, and yeah, that should be real fun.
Because kids today will not understand what we had to go through like 10 plus years ago.
Nah, and we couldn't understand what our parents went through 10 plus years, or when we were younger either. Like there was, I remember my grandmother sitting down and talking to me about how TV came to be a thing. Oh yeah. I don't know about you, but I couldn't have imagined growing up without a television. So
I don't think I could have done it because sometimes I start wondering like what's that that whole time travel thing of like, okay, what if I get sent back 50 years and like there's no TV, there's no certain things like. Well, at night you gotta go to bed. I'm like, what?
People are sitting around their radio for the 3 hours that the radio has somebody on it talking. But so no, we could never understand the generation before us, and so what's the it's always that way. You never understand the generation before you. True. What they went through.
I mean, I have a cousin that's in high school, and sometimes we'll talk about things. I'm like, what is the high school dynamic now? And he said, sometimes there is that little bit of like, you still are a little afraid to be called a nerd or something like that. I mean, that still is around some places.
I'm sure it is. I mean,
but hey, this is all about going to the, moving on to the future and whatnot. But about you, like, what's some things about you that you want people to know about you, like Pride Stark?
I mean, I just want everybody to make sure that they're watching because very, very soon, something very big is about to happen as far as, the whole what university is entering the League of Legends world. And one of the big things that I want to say is, we've made a big impact in games before that we're not going to talk about because I don't really want to do the whole past thing.
Yeah.
But we're planning on making a very big impact on what's to come as far as League of Legends. And it's going to be pretty exciting. And I really can't wait to see it all happen.
One final question for you, where do you see the future of gaming in 10 years?
Honestly, in 10 years, I really believe that we're going to see esports be just a staple thing that people are watching. It's already started to, be broadcast on ESPN slowly. And, but I really believe that 10 years from now, we're easily going to just be like, man, the Smash Brothers tournament's happening. It's probably not going to be Smash Brothers, to be honest. I feel like that game is slowly coming to an end, sadly.
Yeah.
But, they're going to be like, oh, did you see the LCS split last weekend? Like you're just going to have people talk about it like people talk about football now.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that in 10 years, esports is going to be the thing that brings a lot of these countries together. Because if you go outside of outside of the United States, soccer is a very big thing for just about every country.
Yes.
We just happen to be the one that doesn't follow it as heavily because we have football.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe League of Legends is going to be the bridge that brings all of the different countries together sports-wise. Soccer is the next closest thing that I could consider it.
Yeah.
And in 10 years, I believe that'll have been done.
Yeah, because then you'll have, and this being funny on the closing note, you'll have those college jocks walking around with their jerseys and stuff on, yeah, I'm the big man on campus and this is what I play.
Yeah. It'll be pretty funny.
Yeah, but thanks for coming on today and joining us and enlightening us about League of Legends.
Hey, anytime. I'm happy to talk about League of Legends.
And we wish you luck on your next big thing.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.